This episode is brought to you by Lost Radicals T-shirts, a new online T-shirt brand based in Columbus, Ohio, that reflects the designs of creative director Dave Barber's enduring passion for music, style, and storytelling. It opened for business with an initial collection mixing striking images and bold typography with a vintage rock aesthetic. The T-shirt I couldn't find anywhere else, which makes it a perfect gift for that hard-to-buy person in your life. I got mine today. In fact, I bought two. The collection will be celebrated at a launch party at Little Rock Bar, which is located at 944 North 4th Street, Columbus, Ohio, on November 27th at 7 o'clock p.m. If you love to support local music, fashion, and if you love cocktails, you don't want to miss this event that will feature headline musician Sid Finch, one of Rolling Stone magazine's best new artists of 2014. Now, that name is purposely mysterious, but with a little detective work, fans of Columbus country rock should be able to uncover whoever he or she really is. Sid will be followed by DJ Charles Erickson. You don't want to miss this event. It's going to be super fun. And what else do you have to do the night before Thanksgiving? Lost Radicals. Fabricating iconic music.
Welcome to If This Bar Could Talk, a podcast about bartenders and the stories they have to tell, as well as the storied history of cocktails, spirits, and bars. I'm Blair Beavers, and here's your host, Leanne Sims.
So our guest tonight, listeners, is one of our favorites. He is a fabulous cook. He's one of the most articulate and smart friendly young men that I know. He's also an amazing bartender, which is why he's here, of course. So welcome to the show, James DeFrance.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
I know you're an amazing cook because you invited us to your home a couple years ago for a very special, is it an Indian Thanksgiving? Is that?
Yes. Yeah. So for 7 years now, I've had kind of melded the classic American Thanksgiving dishes with Indian subcontinental cuisine and make a vindaloo turkey with stuffed with naan and a whole bunch of curries and so forth, and just gets bigger and bigger every year.
It was amazing.
Just a fun passion project.
The food was incredible. I didn't know what to expect because I've never really had an Indian Thanksgiving. I guess nobody really has because
I know I had.
That's not a thing except for at James's house. But it was really amazing. And we met you first at Denmark, but now you are at the Refectory, right?
Yes.
How's that? It seems a little stuffy there. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's one of our two four diamond restaurants in the city, right? Amazing food.
Yeah. Super
cozy bar. Great cocktails because you're there, but it's very different than Denmark.
Oh, sure. And it's kind of like the current regular clientele of the Refectory is the future of the clientele that's at Denmark. You know what I mean? Because those folks, a lot of them are younger professionals, but it's really exciting and enjoyable every day to be a part of someone's special occasion over and over again, because there are some people who come in maybe only once during their time at Columbus or once a year for their anniversary or something like that.
Yeah, it really is a special.
That's true.
Yeah, it is a special occasion.
So there's that loveliness, but then combined with people for whom it is their kind of one of the focal points of their social lives, where they come in very often are regulars who are there perhaps weekly. And they're really fun. They're part of like a large extended family that keeps everything running. Yeah. And it's beautiful to be around all of that joy and then such wonderful food too.
Yeah, it's amazing. So for years, my office was located on Bethel Road, so I would go there often. And what I loved most about it was the cozy bar where you could have a conversation or a business meeting and you could hear each other talk without screaming. And it was just super cozy and it's fancy too. It feels good to get fancy every once in a while. What got you into bartending?
I'm going to quickly give you the whole backstory,
please
if
do.
that's all right. I came to Ohio State from Vienna, Ohio. It's a rural Rust Belt town. I ended up at OSU probably just because I got waitlisted at Columbia, and I was coming in hot as valedictorian and Eagle Scout and choir boy, the whole bit. And
choir boy, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. No longer. But I thought, okay, well, I'm going to public university. This will be fine. And wanted to do something important, like in capital letters, wanted to study something important. So I was going to be a nuclear engineer. 5 years at Ohio State, encountered some challenges on that pursuit, but by the time I ended it, I actually had a BS in geography. I'd gone back to another interest I had, which was national security. And so it was 2 language classes short of an additional BA in Middle Eastern Studies, also have a minor in economics. Ended up on 5 different committees that helped to run the university, did a bunch of really cool jobs. I actually did some engineering while a student, though I do not have a degree in that. Helped build a solar-powered house, all sorts of really cool stuff, but graduated with very little experience that could go out and like trot out to an employer because trip to Egypt had been canceled out of the air as a result of the Arab Spring. I was accepted to a Pentagon internship, and only the top 30 academic achievers of the 60 who went through the whole like Men in Black, drug test, lie detector test, psychological evaluation, that whole thing. They spent more than they would have paid us over the course of that summer just to get that far. But they only took 30 out of 60. And so I ended up graduating with just the strange collage of different experiences and passions. Ended up working very briefly at a membership organization for energy efficiency groups. And after 6 months was fired. And that was probably, in retrospect, a great day in my life, though I did not know it. And it was also my last day working at Ohio State, too. I'd been working 1.5 full jobs through that period and went in, and thank goodness they did not have a like going away celebration. Nobody had time for that because it would have gone awfully. Here's the funny thing about that day now. I had and kept a blind date that evening. Went to Hubbard Grill, and Gary White was my bartender.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
Never saw that guy again. But little did I know I would be seeing a whole lot of Gary. So after a period on unemployment, a dispiriting job interview or 2 later, walked into Elena's Food and Wine, which was the closest restaurant to my house, and had a dishwasher wanted sign. Said, I went to work, and I saw the sign, and Elena says, okay. Takes out this big sheet of paper, says, go to the bar and write down everything I need to know. Just strangest like process that I'd yet. I was like, okay, cool. The bartender offered me a drink. She probably meant a soft drink, but I was so paranoid. I was like, no, not going to do that. And ended up dishwashing for her and slowly getting to prep stuff. Her tumultuous relationship with her garde manger on and off for 9 years ended for another time. I get pulled back into the wine room. She says, you're moving up into the kitchen. You're gonna be doing the salad station. And I said, I don't know anything, right? And she goes, oh, that's perfect. Don't worry. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. And I ended up doing a little bartending and bar backing for a few nights there when Elena was sick for a weekend or 2. Ended up running the kitchen, like all very quickly within the course of a year. And then I was in it, but I thought that was going to remain temporary. A friend there kept on, like one of Gary's best friends actually kept on sort of nagging me like, hey, this place.
So we should say Gary White is one of the owners at Denmark on High.
Absolutely. He's going to be open. My friend's opening this place. You already have some interest in wine. I'm like, yeah, I don't know anything. They're going to have that. You can help them with their food program. And I got off the lunch shift at Ted's Montana Grill, walked over to the perilously slippery tile entryway at Denmark, fell on my ass, got back up, walked up to the second floor, and proceeded to have the most bizarre interview with Daniel Morris, who was the GM when they opened, and Gary talking about cannibalistic horror movies. Learned that Gary didn't like Morrissey on day 1. The basics, just sort of, sort of intro, getting to know you sort of stuff. And they just open up the menu, say, here's the food we wanted to eat. They were doing a bit more Scandinavian sandwiches. Can you make all of this? And I said, sure I can.
Could you really?
No. And in fact, they wouldn't end up really needing me to. There was a lot of training. We had a lot of staff. You always do when you open. And in a year through there, I was picking up a little bit of the bartending knowledge because there was only so much time spent on food. That's not what people were coming in for. Mm-hmm. And so at some point, Daniel had to leave for health reasons. Gary it gets its ownership stake and is taking over the place, and then our head bartender leaves to become a GM someplace else. And Gary had already made sure that I could be there full time, that he could afford that, and I could live doing that. And he said, "Hey, I want you to take over for James," which was so easy for our liquor and other sorts of reps, because they'd come in to see James, and I am also a James, and you're here to see me now. And was the assistant general manager for 2 years. Was still getting some rudimentary bartending things in terms of knowledge under my belt, even at the start of that point, because it was more all of the inventory and ordering and administrative stuff, all these other things. A lot of people who spend years in the hospitality industry because they're getting by, because they're working on side projects, which is a lot of the folks who were at Denmark, maybe that isn't their strong suit. Mm-hmm. And so hospitality was my totally untrained element in many ways, and that was still growing. But I got to do all of the paperwork, which was delightful.
You faked it till you made it.
A bit of that too, yeah.
So I think your superpower, tell me if I'm wrong, but in the time that I've spent with you, it seems like you're always calm, cool, and collected. Like, it doesn't matter how chaotic shit gets. You always seem to have it together. Is that totally fake, or are you just meh, I can do this?
I am fairly unflappable. I'm definitely got a lot of British grandparents there, there's sort of that feeling. When I lose it is infrequent and very unpleasant.
Pretty severe once you get to that point.
Yeah. But it's just, Elena, one of the things that I remember learning from her, well, first of all, people will ask how was working for her, because she was known as a very combative chef. She's doing great work actually as the chef at the governor's residence now for Ohio. But yes, it is true. Very demanding. She's a loud chef. But I was like, this is like at home. This is how my mother operates. Our kitchens are both yellow. This is fine. I'm totally cool with that. Yeah. If someone wasn't berating me, I wouldn't know what to do, and especially at that point. And it's so different now working at Refectory. Not only is Chef Richard a calm, wonderful delight of a man, but also the whole management staff is this very soft, you know what to do, you're an adult, we're going to softly mold people into making sure what is supposed to happens. It's such a different place.
Yeah, it sounds like a nice environment.
If I didn't know, I would guess that it was like that behind the scenes. Because it's just so, and so chill. Mm-hmm. What a great place to just relax.
Well, I am so grateful to you for our listeners who weren't able to attend our cocktail convention. At the end of that, we had what I thought was an amazing competition that paired a chef with a bartender. And you just stepped right in and made sure that the chef's dishes were executed the way they wanted them executed, and all of our studio audience got their cocktail and their food.
That was the most amazing part.
Yeah, at the same time as the judges. And it was that made the audience feel like they were part of the judging process, which they actually were, because they were able to judge. But that's exactly how I envisioned it. And when I talked to Logan about it, Logan Demi at Citizens Trust, who was the lead of the volunteers, he was like, you know how hard this is going to be, right? That's going to be a lot of work. And I was like, I had no idea. I thought I knew, but I really had no idea. So thank God that you came in and just
actually made it work.
Made it happen flawlessly, and it was wonderful. So looking forward to this year. Hopefully you'll come back.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
So tell me about your best story, your best bar story.
Well, okay, Sean's told them all already.
Sean Taylor.
Yes, Sean Taylor at Denmark. But I was thinking about this, and it piggybacks on that theme, really, of kind of being unflappable a little too conveniently. I was working service bar one weekend evening, the service bar in Denmark, so not the one that's public facing, and not referring to
Not the Middle West Spirits
Not the Middle West
restaurant.
Spirits restaurant.
The
with the same
actual
name.
service bar within the bar.
Yes. So like you might pick up a couple of bar seats that you are helping with primarily, but the purpose is to be sending drinks out into the rest of the lounge space. And so you're really just interacting with the servers, particularly at peak business, which it wasn't yet. And a fella came up towards the end of the bar. He was with a group of people. I do usually like when groups have what I refer to as captains. Sometimes you get to a big like dining party and nobody's the captain, and you're like looking at 8 people who are struggling to decide between 3 salads, and you're just enraged. But you just wait very calmly. Anyway, this was not the case. This fella came up, knew what he wanted, had not looked at the menu, knew that he was at a cocktail bar, orders 5 drinks. One is basically like a vodka soda, 2 other reasonable, normal sort of things, then a Hemingway daiquiri and a Ramos gin fizz. And he came to the right guy because I love making Ramos gin fizzes. They were the first cocktail I memorized, like even before an old fashioned. I was sort of fidgety on what those ratios were, which is funny and says something not good about me. But and so I'm like, okay, there was the thought, why didn't you look at the menu? There is cooler, better. But okay, but we're doing this. I had gotten new shoes that day. They're supposed to be non-slip, and I'm walking across the bar to grab grapefruits for the Hemingway and the Luxardo for that, and the orange flower water and the cream, 4 items, so that life can be complete. And I go off of the mat that's in front of the sink and plant my right foot. It slips. My left foot then lands in that wet, non-padded spot, and I am falling. And I grab with my hand the mat that is on top of the beer cooler that is right next to the sink. And this is where all of the newly cleaned and polished glasses go. Ooh. And I do not succeed. One of my rules in life with regards to physics is when you need to fall, just fall. But I forgot that in this moment and tried to not fall. And I nonetheless did, and took with me this entire 2.5 foot by 2.5 foot plastic mat covered with glassware, and it all proceeded to fall on me. Over 70 glasses came falling and crashing, and I had it was the most traumatic fall I'd had since I'd broken my hip a couple years before falling off a balcony. But it was just the noise wouldn't stop like for a long while, and not because my ears were ringing, just because glasses were still falling, and it felt like it was going to be for forever. And I'm laying there for a second, and somebody comes over. I think Sean comes over probably to pick me up, and I just like wave him off because I want to assess this situation. But the safest thing I can do is put my hands under my body where there isn't glass, push myself up, and by doing so very gently will also prevent glass shards from going everywhere. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that I am fine. I wave Sean off, and then the guy who ordered those drinks begins to slow clap before I am up. And I know what he's about, and it's fine. But Gary comes, goes, "Are you okay?" "I'm okay." And he rushes over and begins to berate this guy for clapping, thinking that he is clapping because I have fallen. So we now have a loud, angry argument over here. I am in the middle of making 5 drinks, which I dispatched to give to Misa. I am now standing up. I very gently get myself over towards a trash can to take off my outer layers and shake everything gently so as to not just contaminate the entire bar with a suable amount of broken glass. I dispatched Carlos and Francisco. I was like, "Hey, remember how I discovered that we had a case of beer glasses that were 2.5 years old from when we opened down beneath the stairs? We're going to need all those. We're also going to need all these other glasses. Remember, if they're right side up, they're already polished, so just put them into rotation."
Always the problem solver.
Yes, I get Misa to make 2 of the drinks I needed to make. I come back, and the argument is still going on, and I'm like, I just know better to not. And the guy's like, "Haven't you ever seen sports? It's like that when a guy on the team gets hit, and I'm just like applauding because he's fine and he's in it." He's like, "You didn't know that yet," Gary is saying. "You didn't know that yet. He's on the ground. One of my guys could be seriously injured. I could be sending him on the way to the hospital." And I make the Ramos gin fizz, the Hemingway daiquiri, deliver all 5 drinks.
While they're still arguing.
While they're basically, while they're wrapping up. And then I get back to my tickets on the station.
Well, I mean, let's
and next.
Slow clap.
That's awesome.
So it sounds like you have a falling issue at Denmark. Is that why you left?
No.
Just happened those twice. Those two
No,
times.
the balcony was in college from at a
No,
party.
I meant the first time you went where you slipped.
Oh, right. I forget. It's just a thing in my life.
My sister has a falling issue too. Some people are just like that.
Yeah.
You just fall, randomly fall. Yeah. I get it. So you have in mind a cocktail that you are going to make for us tonight. Tell us about that.
Going to bring back actually. I'm going to talk real quick about the three ways in which I
Absolutely.
make cocktails.
Don't
Typically,
have to be quick.
Cool. There's three different sort of types of things. One of them is escaping me at the moment. There are the sort of push cocktails, or maybe base spirit cocktails, where I know I need a tequila cocktail. Maybe it's because the brand is coming in and we are doing an event with them, and that ends up being like the hardest approach because I don't have a flavor profile in mind, and like the most obvious answer is already answered. And anyway, this is not one of those. The other is is a bus cocktail, is what I like to call it, where I just think of a good set of flavor combinations that are maybe kind of interesting, build the whole cocktail in my head on the bus.
Bus cocktail.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I come in, and usually I have all of the ingredients almost there, and usually just like a ratio change, maybe a little saline or a little bitters or something. And it's an almost done cocktail in my head. And then there are the problem, or almost like cone in the KOAN in the Buddhist sense. I create a problematic question for myself and then proceed to answer it in the form of a beverage. Like making a spicy Scotch cocktail, which I have. The Night Watcher has been at Denmark, and now it's at Refectory, and it's got like very dark, kind of cigar-like Urfa chili pepper in it with an apple gastrique along with smoky Scotch and a little Averna to keep everything kind of balanced and add an herbaceousness to it. That was all. How will I make a spicy Scotch cocktail? Because I had been wondering that myself. I had a bad one, and I'm like, this is doable. Let's do this. So this was to round out a like camping or outdoors theme, and I wanted to make a s'more cocktail, and one that like actually would taste like it. And so this is the Give Me S'more. We have Old Forester bourbon, cream, and Drambuie in equal parts, and a little dash of Frangelico and some chocolate sauce or chocolate spread. We used chocolate dope from Grumpy Goat when we were at Denmark. And then the whole thing gets if all has worked right, gets a toasted marshmallow cream foam on top. So I brought my torch.
Nice.
And then you
Awesome.
get to eat and drink this thing all together. And it's a good, fun dessert cocktail.
Sounds amazing. So tell me your categories again. Bus cocktail.
But bus, where it's just a concept that comes together. Usually it's flavor driven. Problem cocktails, where I create a problem for myself and then answer it in the form of drinks. And then push cocktails, where I have to do it, and it's usually because it's base driven.
And remind me again which this one is.
This is a problem cocktail,
Problem cocktail.
which they tend to be my favorite.
Okay.
Awesome.
So we're going to take a quick break, and James is going to mix us up a cocktail, and we will be right back. And we are back with this amazing looking cocktail. James, tell us again the name of this.
This is the Gimme S'more.
Give me
Gimme
some more. So tell us what's in it, James.
Old Forester bourbon, Drambuie, cream, bit of Frangelico, and chocolate spread.
Nice. And the garnish is
Got a marshmallow whipped topping and little graham cracker chocolate, classic s'more build to complement.
Looks delicious. Cheers.
cheers.
Thank you.
Now, should we take a bite? Oh my God, that's good. Should we take a bite and then drink, or does it matter?
You can do whatever you want. Ideally, when the foam's thick enough, you actually want to play around with it.
Oh, so dunking.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, now it all makes sense.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, There is nothing better than chocolate and whiskey. What's Drambuie? I've actually never had it before.
It is a Scotch-based honey liqueur. So it adds a lot of sweetness into your
really
mix,
good.
but I like it. I also like it as a sweetener with aged tequilas as well. So that's kind of cool.
Really? Mm-hmm. So Scotch and tequila.
Yeah.
Scotch-ish.
Scotch honey liqueur. Yeah. So
Wow. This
that's
is
some fun things.
So obviously a dessert cocktail, but wow, so well balanced. Really, it's still boozy and really delicious. Thank
way
you.
better than those chocolate martinis you get.
Right?
Really good. Thank you for this. This is wonderful.
Welcome.
Oh yeah.
Silence is like a good.
Yeah.
This is the finest podcast.
That's dangerous. That is so
Yeah,
good.
because we know how much whiskey went in there.
Yeah.
How much whiskey went in there?
Everybody got their shot of whiskey.
Oh, okay, nice.
And then the Drambuie.
So you mentioned earlier about adding saline to a cocktail. Why do you add saline to a cocktail?
I don't necessarily do it often, but sometimes when you have a lot of really bright flavors, especially bright citrus flavors, a little salt can reel that back into balance. And occasionally I have had cocktails that are, I'd say, almost balanced to a fault, where whatever I wanted to be the distinguishing flavor didn't necessarily be as pronounced, because I was like, no, I want to bring that back into an internal balance between sour and boozy, and if there's or whatever your other sort of elements, would that be umami or creamy or what have you that you add. So this past year, one of the cocktails I used to apply to the world class competition ended up kind of smashing together. They wanted to see a Scotch tiki cocktail. That was one of the several prompts that was given to us as a potential idea. And I ended up taking a pina colada and elements of a Mai Tai, bringing those together, where I had Talisker Scotch, smoky. It's pervasively smoky. It's not overwhelming like a Lagavulin or Lefroy are, but it's all the way through its flavor profile. And then cucumber juice, and then lemon and orange liqueur and coconut cream and pineapple juice. And to bring that, kind of tie that back all together and get the smoke and the savoriness from the cucumber all the way through, had a saline solution with a little bit of coriander and black pepper.
So it's like in cooking, adding salt.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you just throw some salt in there?
Oh, well, to measure your concentration.
Okay, gotcha.
So there's a
More
control
precise.
element.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So like,
And it's way better than salting the rim of the glass, because it's actually part of the cocktail.
right. Well, then there's you have to balance when out and kind of creating drinks, how much you want guests to have fun and control their own destiny, and how much you want them to have exactly what you want them to have. So if you get a 10% by volume or mass saline solution, and then you're doing specifically however many drops, you have a very good idea of how much salt you're putting into the mix. Like, there are other times I've put out drinks. We had Love Potion number 9, which was like a perfectly fine Jack Daniel's whiskey sour to start off with, but then there was a mixture of Cynar and Zucco Robibaro, two really strong Italian Amaris that I left together in a tiny little 1 ounce flask hanging off the side of the drink, and guests could add that as they wanted and really transform their beverage at their own pace, which was a fun one.
That's fun. Do you find that that patrons like that sort of thing, or do they just want you to make it for them? Do they like the interactive?
They do. Yes, they do like the interactivity, and it depends on what they've come to the bar with the intention of doing, and the type of social. If they are coming out for cocktails and for an experience, then we've got that. If they want their same straight vodka martini, I'm happy to make that too.
And at Refectory, you're given that freedom to be creative that way.
Absolutely,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I get to do whatever I want, so long as it isn't losing money or gumming up the whole works of
Right.
the place. As long as I can get out to a table the way it's supposed to, I can do whatever I like.
So
That's great.
if we go to the refectory, what should we order? What would you recommend that people order when they visit?
I hate this question.
Okay, forget it.
No,
Edit that out,
but I would
Answer.
I would love to address why.
Do you have a favorite cocktail on the menu at the moment?
I certainly don't.
Well, let him address why. Address.
I write the whole menu, and I am in a place where it's a one-man show. I select which classics are listed. I select which spirits are used. I make all of these the refectory creations are my drinks at this point in time. I will also have a specials menu, and so we're celebrating sherry, and I have put together food to pair with different sherries, a couple of sherry cocktails to highlight. I've curated that whole thing, which means that I universally recommend all of them. I've already done all of the recommending, and the guests don't necessarily know that or care, but then they will ask, what do you recommend? All of it. And not like, I don't recommend that you drink all of it, but let's instead have a conversation about the type of thing that you would like, and I would love to guide you to the solution there, too.
No, that's great.
cool.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. You're the consummate professional, bartending professional. Who was the gentleman that passed away this past
A
week?
couple years ago,
No, the guy that
sorry.
died this week. He was all about hospitality. His
oh,
name-
Gauss Regan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Writer of The Joy of Mixology, bringer back of orange bitters, a great advocate for obscure ingredients. And he had been at the game for a great long time. And I'm fortunate I just got the anniversary edition of his book, which is a good buy. And he updated it to talk about infusions and all sorts of things. Like, it's one thing to go back and he'll mention, well, you might have difficulty making aviation because you can't get creme de violette. Well, guess what? You can get that anywhere in the U.S. now, which is delightful. And it's one thing to go back and to do that, but he was definitely staying on top of his craft the entire way through because there are updates to talk about the newer techniques and was with it until his dying day in terms of what we thought bars should do and should be able to have.
Awesome. So do you have any upcoming competitions that you're going to be?
I don't. I went and I looked back and I've done 10 competitions in 4 years, and a lot of them are local, but I'm taking a year off of applying. It'd be really hilarious if my wheel weakens and there's now a testament to the fact that I wasn't going to. I got a little tiny bit of insider information that will be soon public about Diageo's world-class competition for this year, as someone was trying to. It's been really funny. I did not think I did the regionals twice. Went to Las Vegas, did it in Minneapolis this past year for the Midwest. And when I went to the national competition, and it's one thing to know that you've gone from 500 or so applicants and funneled through a process in which there are 50 competitors. Now you're with the top 15 in the nation for this competition. Not one of the top 15 bartenders in the whole of the United States. I am not claiming that. But it's like, oh, cool, I am one of these people. And then just saw some stuff that absolutely blew me away. And both because it's a lot of work, but also because I'm not certain that I'm quite there. I'm going to take some time off and just work on my craft and work on learning things over the course of the next year. And I'm going to try to not compete, though it feels like a spastic thing where I just do it.
And write your cocktail book, James's Bus Cocktail.
Yes, we can have a little kids style where it's the bus and a little thought bubble up to a martini glass. Yeah, fun for the whole family.
Hilarious. Yes, fun for the whole family. Because you're going to get drunk and you don't care what your kids are doing. So any other stories you want to share with us before we let you go?
Oh, can I talk about something
Please.
else? Not exactly.
Absolutely.
So I had definitely had a little bit of internal struggle through the time working at Denmark going, is this a good use of my time? Of bartending and of managing, and there were always days when it did feel really good when the team got through things. We were pretty happy with it. And when I genuinely do love making guests happy, but it is not the satisfaction that I seek in work so much as just like a sort of an objectively well done job. But I actually was sort of accepting this, and right after I'd started at Refectory, got to go on the Behind the Barrel program that Wild Turkey puts on, and thrown together with 20 random bartenders, not random, excellent bartenders from across the Midwest and Southwest was in our group.
People you knew or
did not know.
Did not know.
No,
Okay.
This is applicants from all over the place, and they do this every year. Wild Turkey brings a ton, dozens and dozens of people specifically to their distillery. You get to camp out there for a few days. They have you shoot guns before they start serving bourbon on that stick.
Good.
And and we're hanging around the fire, and I'm talking to people. There was a campfire there every night. One night there was bluegrass. It was excellent. We're passing around the Russells had been turned off for the evening. Let's say they put away the bourbon that brought out some stuff that I had, and I was talking to Bruce Russell, the grandson of Jimmy Russell, and he began to talk about robotics, which he really enjoys. He recreationally and for money too builds computers, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, your whole life is ostensibly from the outside would be bourbon. We're selling whiskey, that going around doing this touring. You have all these other passions. Mm-hmm. You're keeping this alight and going, and you can do that. And I had been kind of worried because bartending is a thing you can do recreationally or professionally. Mm-hmm. Not that this is my goal, but being a human rights lawyer is a little bit more difficult to do as a recreation. Being a trauma surgeon is not exactly, but you can be a first responder. There's different things you can do.
I don't want my brain surgeon to be a recreational brain surgeon. That's for sure.
No, but because there's this internally this really serious person inside of me.
Yes.
Like the joke is. People go, oh, I just saw the most depressing movie. You'll love it. Like that's what my friends go on to. But like talking to the people, not just Bruce, but everyone there, and like getting to see their different interests and how they're because they're really engaged people, really extroverted people who've been given alcohol, and we're talking about what everyone is doing. I finally got it and was like, I am home. I am doing something I can do and I want to do.
I love that. I'm so glad you came to that because I think that, there's nothing pisses me off more than when I hear someone say to a bartender, when are you going to get a real job, or what's your real job? That is, that's just fucking rude for one thing, but I think that people don't really know how incredibly smart and talented and dedicated you guys are to your craft. And it's like you're chefs of the glass, and it takes a shit ton of preparation and planning and a lot of skill that I certainly don't have. Yep. So I'm glad that you're embracing this vocation, because it's a wonderful career, and I think you'll do really well because you're smart and you check all the boxes of the perfect bartender. So I think that's a great story.
Agreed.
And a perfect one to end with. Thank you, James, for being our guest tonight.
Together.
We really appreciate it. And when are you at the Refectory? When can people?
I am there almost always from Tuesday through Saturday, and we are open Monday through Saturday.
And when is Misa there? We love Misa Farslow. We haven't seen her in a coon's age.
I love Misa too. She definitely works weekends. She's typically serving.
Okay.
So she might be picking up for me on Mondays. She's there serving tables most of the week.
Okay. So listeners, get up to the Refectory. Amazing food.
We do have happy hour.
Oh, you do? Tell me about that.
We have a whole slew of our menu entrees appetizers, which are typically around $15 or $18 for $9 during happy hour, and a list of $8 classic cocktails and a selection of about a half dozen $6 wines too.
Oh, that sounds amazing. All right, listeners, get to the Refectory. It's fancy, but it's not unapproachable.
No.
It's comfy, cozy,
And delicious.
and delicious. All right, James, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Listeners, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Seabus Craft Cocktail Tour. Visit our website at columbuscraftcocktailtour.com for cocktail tour dates, women and whiskey tastings, special events, merchandise, and if you're looking for a gift for that special person in your life, get them a gift card to our cocktail tour. Thank you to our producer, Greg Hansberry, and to the biographer for our original music. And please remember to drink responsibly and be cocktail curious. Cheers.